Good morning students. Welcome to Blue Star High Secondary School, Class 8, Subject English. Today we are going to see a supplementary reader named Princess September. Hard words of the supplementary reader is note, a musical note. Note means a musical note. Dawn, time just before sunrise. At the top of his voice, very loudly. Dawn means time just before sunrise. At the top of his voice, very loudly. Peculiar, strange. Pretty Polly, a traditional folk song. Peculiar, strange. Pretty Polly, a traditional folk song. Ominously, threateningly. Uneasy, restless or uncomfortable. Ominously, threateningly. Uneasy, restless or uncomfortable. Glided, moved smoothly. Glided, moved smoothly. Glided, moved smoothly. Our supplementary reader, The Princess September, was written by William Somerset Maugham. He was born on 25th January 1874 in Paris. He was a novelist, playwright and a short story writer. He was orphaned at the age of 10, brought up by an uncle. He was qualified as a doctor in 1897. His notable books are Of Human Bondage, The Moon and Sixpence, Cake and Ale, The Razor's Edge. He was died on 16th December 1965 in Nice, France at the age of 91. Let's see the character of the story, The Princess September. Princess September, the heroine of this story, King and the Queen of Siam. Let's see the place. Thailand is renamed as Siam, which is the Princess September born place. You can see here, it is the Siamese language. See children, it is totally different from our language, right? And there are 9 sisters who is named as January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August and September. The youngest one is September, our Princess September. See, this is the parrot who is caged in a golden cage that is gifted by the king. And see, it is a linnet bird who sings really sweet songs. Now we are going to see the full story of the supplementary reader, The Princess September. The king and the queen of Siam had many daughters. The queen found it confusing to remember so many names. So the king named them according to months and the youngest one called September, as I told before. As we know, they are named as January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August and September. Our princess name is September. Yes. The king of Siam had a peculiar habit. He gave gifts on his birthday instead of receiving them. One year on his birthday, not having anything else handy, he gave each of his daughters a green parrot in a golden cage. Is it a silver cage? No, it is a golden cage. The princes were very proud of their parrots and they spent an hour every day in teaching them to talk. Presently, all parrots could say only 2 things: God save the king and the word Pretty Polly, but in no less than 7 Oriental languages. But one day, when Princess September went to say good morning to her parrot, she found it laying dead at the bottom of its golden cage. She burst into a flood of tears, and nothing that her maids of honor could say comforted her. Princess September cried so much that the maids of honor, not knowing what to do, she told it to the queen. She is beside herself with grief and refuses to eat. The queen said, "It is tough and nonsense. The child had better go to bed without any supper." The maids of honor wanted to go to a party, so they put Princess September to bed as quickly as they could, and the queen didn't bother much. After that, the maids of honor left Princess her by herself, and while she lay in her bed, crying still even though she felt rather hungry, she saw a little bird hop into her room. She wiped her tears and sat up. Then the little bird began to sing sweet songs for the princess. And the little linnet bird had sang a beautiful song all about the lake in the king's garden and the willow tree that looked at itself in the still water and the goldfish that glided in and out of the branches that were reflected in it. When he finished the song, Princess September said, "That was a very nice song." The princess wasn't crying anymore, and she quite forgot that she had no supper. The little bird gave her a bow. "Would you care to have me in place of your parrot?" said the little linnet bird. "It's true that I'm not so pretty to look at, but on the other hand, I have a much better voice than a parrot." The princess clapped her hands with delight. After that, then the little bird hopped onto the end of her bed and sang her to sleep. When she woke up, the bird was still there and said good morning to our princess. At that morning, the maids of honor brought our princess a breakfast. The little linnet bird ate rice out of her hands, and he had his mouth in her saucer. He began to sing again a beautiful song that our maids of honor were quite surprised, for they had never heard anything like it. And Princess September was very proud and happy. "Now, I want to show you to my 8 sisters." She stretched out the finger of her hand so that it served at a perch, and the little bird flew down and sat on it. Princess September went through the palace and called on each of the 8 princesses. The Princess September ran through all the rooms of the palace, singing like a lark, while the little bird flew around her, singing like a nightingale. The lark and the nightingale are 2 different birds. The lark is compared to the princess, and the nightingale is compared to the little linnet bird who sings sweet songs. Things went like this for several days, and then the 8 princesses put their heads together. They are so jealous of the little bird and the Princess September because they are having only parrots, and they are practiced to say "God save the king" and the pretty Polly. But our Princess September little bird sings sweet songs. So they went to September. One of the 8 sisters said, My poor September, we are sorry for the death of your beautiful parrot. It must be dreadful for you not to have a pet parrot like we do. So we have all put our pocket money together to buy you a lovely green and yellow parrot." And all of a sudden, Princess September said, "Thank you for nothing. I have a pet bird which sings the most charming songs to me. I don't know what on earth I should do with a green and yellow parrot." "Well, dearie, it's absurd to talk of it as your bird when the little fellow flies in and out just as he likes. Do you mind your asking where your bird is now? And what makes you think he'll come back?" After all their questions, Princess September was answering like, "He has gone to pay a visit to his father-in-law. He always does come back." One of her sisters was saying that, "Well, my dear, if you're lucky and he does come back, mind you pop him into the cage. That's the only way you will be sure of him." But Princess said, "But I like to have him fly about the room." They got up leaving and walked out of the room shaking their hands. "If you'll take our advice, you won't run any risk like that," said another one. "Safety first." And they left September very uneasy. It seemed to Princess September that her little bird had been away a long time. "Has he forgotten me? Has he taken fancy to someone else? Did hawks or snares get him? That would be dreadful." Suddenly, tweet tweet, he came in so quietly and alighted so softly that she didn't hear him. So the Princess September said to the little bird, "I wondered what on earth had become of you. I thought you'd wondered that," said the linnet bird. "The fact is, I nearly didn't come back tonight, but I thought you'd be anxious," said the little bird. Under the circumstance, this was a very unfortunate remark for the little bird to make. September felt her heart go thump against her chest, and she decided to take no more risk. She took hold of the bird, and the bird suspected nothing. And he was so surprised when she carried him over the cage, popped him up, and shut the door on him, that for a moment he could think of nothing to say. "What's the joke?" said the little bird unknowingly. But in a moment or two, he hopped up to the ivory perch, looking more than a little worried. "There is no joke, but some of Mama's cats are prowling about tonight, and I think you're much safer in that," said the little princess. "Well, just for this once, I don't mind, so long as you let me out in the morning." He ate a very good supper and then began to sing. But in the middle of his song, he stopped. "I don't know what the matter with me is, but I don't feel like singing tonight." "Very well, go to sleep," said. So he put his head under his wing and in a minute was fast asleep. But when the dawn broke, she was awakened by the little bird calling her at the top of his voice. Wake up, let me out. I want to have a good fly while the dew is still on the ground. Let me out. You're much better off when you are," said the little princess. He tried to slip through the bars of the cage, but of course couldn't. And he beat against the door, but of course he couldn't open it. "You were very wise to take our advice." He would soon get used to the cage, and in a few days would quite forget he had ever been free, said one of her sisters. "I have put him in the cage because I am so fond of him," said the little princess. "Don't be such an old silly. I know what's good for you, much better than you. Sing me a little song, I'll give you a piece of sugar," said the little princess. What's the good of sulking? Why don't you sing and forget your troubles? I'll take you out every day, said the little princess. How can I sing? I want to see the trees and the lake and the green rice growing in the fields. It's not the same thing. The rice fields and the lake and the willow trees look quite different when you see them through the bars of the cage. The bird wouldn't sing a song, and he wouldn't eat a thing. The princess was a little anxious at this and asked her sisters what they thought about it. You must be firm, said one of her sisters. But if he won't eat, he will die, said the princess. That would be very ungrateful of him. He must know that you are only thinking of his own good. If he is obstinate and dies, it will serve him right and you will be well rid of him, said another sister. September didn't see how that was going to do her very much good. Perhaps he will have got used to this cage by tomorrow, but they were 8 to 1 and all older than she, so she said nothing. And the next day, when she awoke, she cried out of good morning in a cheerful voice, but she got no answer. She ran to the cage and gave a startled cry, for there the little bird lay at the bottom on his side when his eyes closed, and he looked as if he were dead. She opened the door and putting her hand in left him out. She gave a sob of relief, for she felt that his little heart was beating still. Thanks heavens, you are alive. Wake up, little bird, said the princess. She began to cry and her tears fell on the little bird. The little bird opened his eyes and saw that the bars of the cage were no longer around him. I cannot sing unless I am free, and if I can't see, I will die, said the little bird. She threw open the window and gently placed the little bird on the sill. He shook himself a little. Then take your freedom. I shut you in a golden cage because I loved you and wanted to have you all to myself. But I never know it would kill you. I love you enough to let you be happy in your own way. Come and go as you will, little bird. I'll never put you in a cage anymore. I will come because I love you, little princess, and I will sing you the loveliest song I know. I shall go far away, but I shall always come back and never forget you. He gave himself another shake. God gracious me, how stiff I am, said the little bird. Then he opened his wings and flew right away into the blue sky. But the little princess burst into tears, for it's very difficult to put the happiness of someone you love before your own. And with the little bird far out of sight, she felt all of a sudden very lonely. When her sisters knew what happened, they mocked her. The little bird would never return, they said. But he did at last. And he sat on September's shoulder and ate out of her hand and sang her the beautiful songs he had learned while flying up and down the fair places of the world. And then September kept her window open day and night so that the little bird might come into her room whenever he felt inclined. And this was very good for her, so she grew extremely very beautiful. And when she was old enough, she married the king of Cambodia and was carried on a white elephant all the way to the city in which the king lived. Her sisters never slept with their windows open, so they grew ugly and extremely disagreeable. And when the time came to marry them off, they were given away to to the king's counselors with a pound of tea and a Siamese cat. Now let's see the Princess September chapter summary. The king and the queen of Siam had many daughters that they decided to name their daughters as January, February, March till they named their youngest daughter named September. The king had a strange habit of giving away gifts on his birthday instead of receiving them. The princess gave the parrots an hour each day and taught them to say, "God save the king," and "Pretty Polly" is no less than 7 Oriental languages. Princess September parrot died one day and she got very upset. She kept on crying and nothing her maid of honors did comforted her. They consulted the queen who advised them to put her to bed without any supper. The maids of honor did it and after left her alone. They went to the party. The princess did not stop crying and suddenly she noticed a little bird sitting on her window. The bird sang so beautifully that she jumped up to sit in her bed. It even made her forget about the parrot and that she was hungry because she had missed her supper. The little bird asked the princess to let him be her pet bird. Princess September got delighted and the bird sang her to sleep that night. Next day, when the maids of honor brought her breakfast, she fed the bird rice with her hands and bathed him in her saucer. Then she decided to show the bird to her family that she went about the palace and the little bird sang a different song for everyone. The king and the queen were delighted on seeing the melodious bird. The queen felt it was right for her to send the princess to sleep without supper. The king, on the other hand, felt happy on seeing the bird sing as he was tired of listening to the parrot say "Pretty Polly" in 7 different languages. It reminded him of his counselors who could also say the same thing in 7 different ways without making sense in any one of them. This made the 8 sisters unhappy. The 8 sisters put their heads together and went to see Princess September. They offered to buy her a parrot like theirs, but September refused as she was happy with her little singing bird. The princesses then provoked Princess September to lock him in a cage when he returned as this way she can be sure of his possession. This made September uneasy and upon hearing that the bird almost did not come back at that night, she locked the bird, telling him that her mother's cat were prowling around that night. The next morning, September refused to let him out as she was afraid she had lost him. The bird, on the other hand, got upset and refused to eat or sing. The 8 sisters felt that September had made a wise decision by listening to them and they asked her to stay firm. They told her that it was very ungrateful of the bird to not eat anything and understand her love. Princess September was not very sure about it, but she decided to wait till the next day and see if he could get used to it. The next day she received no reply from the bird. Upon seeing the bird lay on his side at the bottom of the cage, frightened September, who then instantly got him out of the cage. On seeing that he was no longer surrounded by boys, he told September that he can't sing in a cage and if he won't sing, he would die. Princess September decided to let him free. The bird promised to come back. Her sister mocked her for her decision, but the bird did come back. She left her window open day and night for the bird to come in as he pleased. This helped her grow into an extremely beautiful woman. She got married to the king of Cambodia. Her sisters, on the other hand, never left the window open at night and thus grew up to be ugly and undesirable. They were given away, married to the kings of counselors with some tea and a Siamese cat.
Good morning students, welcome to Blue Star High Secondary School, Class 8, Subject English. Take your class of note, fill the index page. Supplementary, the Princess September. Draw a double line, write supplementary, the Princess September. Mind map. The king, the Princess September. The king and the queen of Siam had many daughters. The king gifted all their daughters a parrot in a gold cage on his birthday. His last prince's parrot dies and a singing bird comes in a place. And all the sisters put the new bird in a cage. But the little princess allowed the bird to live in its own way because she loved the bird so much. The bird in the cage refused to eat or sing. The birds also loved the little princess and kept on visiting her. Identify the character or speaker. Would you care to have me in my place of your parrot? The little bird. Now I want to show you to my 8th sister, Princess September. Match the following. King, Siam. Golden cage, parrot. Little bird, song. Daughters, 9. Birthday gift, golden cage with a parrot. Choose the correct answer. The king's youngest daughter is September. You have to write this in this blank dash. The Princess September were very proud and happy. They say it in 7 different languages. Sing me a little song and I will give you a piece of sugar. Princess September kept her window open day and night. Jumble sentence. You have to order the jumble sentence. Princess September parrot died. The princess caged the bird, but it could not sing. She understood and released him. She was then married to the king of Cambodia and lived a happy life. The king had gifted a parrot to all the 9 princes. The little bird came and sang very well. This is not parent, it is parrot. The bird used to come to her and sing for her. Now we can see the correct order sentence. The king had gifted a parrot to all the 9 princes. Princess September parrot died. A little bird came and sang very well. The princess caged the bird, but it could not sing. She understood and released him. The bird used to come to her and sing for her. She was then married to the king of Cambodia and lived a happy life. Idioms. Hit the roof. Become extremely angry. He hit the roof. Spill the beans. To tell someone a secret. I accidentally spilled the beans to my sister. Call it a night. Going to bed. I am going to call it a night. A dime a dozen. Very common. These red cherries are very common. Bent out of shape. Very absent. Why are you bent out of shape? Translation. Let him mend his manners. தன்னை தானே திருத்திக் கொள்ளட்டும். Sudden friendship, sure repentance. திடீர் நட்பு துயரம் விளைவிக்கும். Cradle habits will be there till death. தொட்டில் பழக்கம் சுடுகாடு மட்டும். Gender. King, Queen. Prince, Princess. Maid, maid servant, man servant. Thank you, students.
Now we will see the assignment. Write 5 characteristics about the Princess September. Thank you for listening, students. Stay healthy and stay safe.